Welcome, everybody. Today is Thursday, August 7th, and this is a meeting of the Senior Center Site Selection and Building Committee. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 375-414-6055 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting. So I call us to order at 4:06 p.m. Before we go any further, can everybody hear? Okay, I was just gonna say, let me just turn off that one. Can you turn that one? Thank you, Mary Ellen. All right.
John.
Oh, whoops. Thank you for seeing that now that it's sideways.
Can you put that shadow, put that shade on the thing?
Okay.
There.
Okay.
Thank you. Good.
I don't think there's any further direction I can go with that. If the owl decides to be done updating, we will reconnect it. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve or any amendments to the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right. We have everyone from the committee is here in person. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so Dennis sent out today 2 sets of minutes that just came out. I don't know that we necessarily, if everyone's had a chance to review them, great. If not, if you want to take some time, we can work on them for the next meeting. You would?
I have not.
Me neither.
Okay, all right. So let's table that until the next meeting. Thank you, Dennis, for getting to these 2. I would like to suggest that we mix up the roles a little bit. You know, the minutes are time consuming. Is there anyone willing to take over minutes? It doesn't have to be from here to eternity, but to help us get caught up or to move forward, we could say we're going to do it. Each person's going to do it for 2 months. That would be 4 meetings, and then we pick another person.
I can't mental optimist.
Okay. Okay. Well, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to nominate people who aren't here today. I will do my best to help get us caught up to where we are to today. And then I do need somebody else to help with it. So, all right. So we will table these until next time. That brings us to the meat of our discussion for today, which is the updated budget and our next steps. So I believe everyone here at the committee was at the last select board meeting. We did provide them with an update on the cuts we had made to date, the progress of schematic design and a new cost estimate. And then there was a robust discussion afterwards, and still landed at the idea that we need to bring the price down further in order to really hit that goal of a $10 million bond, which makes the cost less than $200 annually for the average household here in town. So at our last building committee meeting, we tasked both the OPM and the architect with creating some options for the committee to consider. And thank you both to Catlin Architecture and to Vertex for putting their heads together and doing that for us. So Brian, did you want to lead that discussion, or as far as where the budget categories, do you want me to go through that?
I can do it if you want me to go through, I think you
Oh,
would,
can't hear you. Hang on.
can you hear me?
Well,
Says my mic is on.
Can you hear us?
yeah, so
I can hear you.
can hear you, but the
Okay.
problem is, just one second, is that now the owl is disconnected, so we're getting my audio and not. The owl.
We can't hear you.
Hang on just one second.
I actually can hear you, but that doesn't matter, right?
It always matters, Sean.
Um. Great. Brian, can you say something now? See if that changes anything?
Yes, is that better?
No, that's worse. Okay. Hmm.
Stop. Oh, you're right. I thought it was Dan. Still up with them. Waking up, maybe.
No, it's not. Okay. So I'm just not sure what to do now. Brian, can I call you and put you on speakerphone? That
Sure.
might help.
He said, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we're gonna have to do that, right?
Well, that's the unfortunate part there.
Well, maybe the owl will wake up in the winter.
All right, because then John and Bob won't be able to hear me.
Um, oh, wrong Brian, sorry. Actually, can you call me? Okay.
I can hear
Oh,
everybody.
you were that. Sorry, everyone.
Oh, I'm hearing everything.
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's try this.
Is that better?
Yeah, well, we can at least hear you here in the room.
Okay. John, can you hear me online?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So I'll share, this is what Katie had sent out to the committee. Katie, you have to approve it as share.
Okay. Are you able to do it now?
Yeah, can you all see that?
No.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, now it's loading.
There you go.
And everyone has a copy of this in their packet as well.
Okay, at the last committee meeting. Turn my screen. At the last committee meeting, the committee had tasked us with looking at two options. Is there an echo?
Oh, we gotta mute ourselves. Okay, hang on.
You quiet? I'm quiet.
I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
I was hearing stuff. Are anybody talking or not?
I think they're talking in the room and on the phone.
Appears that we've been muted. All for the best.
Okay, all right.
There we go.
Oh, okay, so this is,
This
okay.
is better.
All right, so how about this? Do you want me to go through it and then you can add in? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so, all right, Ken, do you want to lead that?
Sure. Okay, so everyone should have in front of them a copy of the latest revision of the budget that was provided to us after a meeting between the OPM, Vertex, and John Cap. So this is about dated 7/29 on the right-hand column. So the budget we were working with was actually in the left-hand column, the 7/14/25 budget, which was I think just before we went to the Board of Selectmen, right? It was like the 23rd into the Board of Select Board, I guess we call it, excuse me. The OPM then discussed some items with John, and they came back with the.
They can't hear. If people can you just project?
They can't hear me?
No, we can't.
Wow, I thought I was speaking loud. Is that better? No?
I can hear you.
Okay, so let's try it again. So there was a meeting with the select board on the 23rd of July. Just before that meeting, this column you see on the left, 7/14/25, was the budget that we were working with at that time. Can you hear me now? Okay, so since that time and after the select board meeting, as Katie prepped us for, there was a discussion and we asked the OPM, Vertex representing us and John Catton, the architect representing us, to talk together and see if we could come up with some measures that would help reduce the estimated budget that we have. So it's still an estimated budget at this point in time. The first thing that the OPM did, which is, so now this budget sheet is broken down into categories. The categories are pretty clear to see on the sheet. First one was project management, and in that particular category, those costs are all the costs of the OPM. So in essence, what the OPM did is on the item for construction administration, they discussed the fact that they would not carry a full-time on-site superintendent for the job. And instead of that, they would put on the job 20 hours a week of a project manager. So you can see the note here on the right-hand column, which is highlighted. So by doing that, they dropped that budget by over $300,000, I believe.
Yeah.
So the significant change here is right off the bat, the OPM working with the architect and determining that there was a potential for a little bit of overlap here, where potentially maybe the architect was doing some of the construction management and the OPM could back off a full-time on-the-job superintendent. So that's a big change. Anyone, we'll stop if we want for questions as we go through this. Everyone on board with that decision? Katie?
Looks like the owl just kicked on.
It's the power is on, but it's not letting me select it, so.
We're seeing camera.
Oh, now I can.
Yeah, we can see it.
We
Oh,
see
there we go.
everybody now.
All right, Carry
Yeah,
on.
so I'll carry on. And so the rest of the categories in the OPM budget items under project management, as you'll see, they basically have remained the same. There's no other changes except the change in the construction administration. So that's a substantial saving for the project, clearly, and an agreement basically that something we'll have to agree to with the architect that we're okay with that. Now,
I have a question about that.
mhm,
I see down here 38,569 for town meeting prep and support.
okay, so, all right, we haven't got to that yet. Go
We
ahead.
haven't gotten there yet.
So do you have a question on the change in the superintendent?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so everyone's good with it. So that brings up, I think, a good question by Ellen. We ought to look at the other categories here and question them while we're talking about project administration. So go ahead, Ellen.
Well, I'm questioning what that's for. What is the town meeting prep and support? Because when we asked at the last meeting about, what they were,
Yes. You don't,
just that, with any of the work on the, town meeting, tell us what you want us to do, we'll do it. But I don't know if that's just because they're gonna attend a meeting or something. I'd just like to know a little bit more what that's for. What we're getting for that.
okay, Brian, are you available for that?
Brian, did you hear the question?
Still can't hear Brian.
You're muted.
Brian, are you muted?
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, so for clarification, a question has come up regarding the need for the OPM for town meeting prep and support for a value of 38,569.
Yeah, so this was based on the initial fee proposal we had given that was beyond an estimated amount of time beyond the finish of schematic design leading up until town meeting this fall. That we had given back at the beginning of the project. This has not been, none of these line items other than this schematic design line item have been executed. So they were just budget placeholders. Obviously, the closer we get to town meeting, this number might change as far as what you need help with.
Okay, so at the moment, it's in line with the proposal that we have before already.
Yep.
So we only signed a portion of it,
But my question
or we may
is,
not use it.
it was my understanding that part of those services were for you to be advising us and helping us with public outreach and stuff like that. But
That's it.
when I asked about that last week, it sounded like that was not the case. So I'm just asking, is this any kind of support in public outreach, or is this just you attending meetings?
It was yet to be totally defined on what you wanted it to be. Like a lot of times this could be speaking at community meetings, it could be putting on presentations. It's working with, during this period of time, post schematic design with the working group and the building committee to lead up to town meeting. We hadn't really defined exactly what you wanted us to be doing and or what we thought we'd be doing as a project. But again, it was an allotment of time basically to figure out how best to support you all or the town.
Okay, so we have to decide as a group how much of that we're gonna spend, or if any we're gonna spend, I guess, between now and going up to town meeting. Make sense? So I actually have a question here for both, as well, with the line above that for the two estimates during the DDs and CDs, for both John and Brian. So John, I thought you were gonna maintain the budget going forward, in cost estimates. They're carrying
Yes.
two different.
We'll
So there, I'm
provide
guessing there's
cost estimating.
18,000, I'm guessing there's 18,000 per cost estimate that's being estimated by the OPM. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't feel we need that, but that's your decision. Our estimators will be all the way through 90% CDs. So there'll be 2 or 3 more estimates from our estimator included in our fee.
What do DD and CD?
There's a design.
Sorry, design development and construction
line
documents.
Design
We're
development.
only, we only have a very early set of drawings right now. They're schematic drawings, although they're a little bit more than schematics, but the next phase would be design development, where we still can make changes in the design to meet the budget as we go along. Normally, we set a budget now and we revise the drawings as they develop to stay in touch with the budget. So design development up through construction documentation, we keep a pulse on the current market, and our estimator gives us updated based on the new drawings as they develop. Does that make sense?
Brian, what's your rebuttal to that?
Oftentimes on our projects, we do a parallel estimate to the designer with our own estimator, and then we reconcile them so that again, you have two estimators looking at it, we reconcile and come up with what we believe is the cost of the project. Obviously, you defer to whatever the reconciled architect's estimator says, but it's a way to keep the architect's estimator in line. Again, it's usually, we have it as a budget line item here. It's usually presented as an allowance. If you want to do it, we can do it. If you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. On all of our projects for the MSBA, we're required to do it. There's always at least two estimates done at every milestone.
That's for schools, yeah.
Well,
Our last three projects, we've done it with one estimator.
I understand, but we
Yeah.
do it on our fire station,
And-
police station projects. Just
Yeah.
it's up to the town if you want to do it or not. That's a placeholder to be billed on actual costs.
And I'll give you my experience on that. The two estimators sit down, one guy's high here, the other guy's low there, and one guy's high over here and the other guy's low. In the end, they end up with a number that's almost exactly where we started. I'm not a big believer in two guys.
Okay,
The
so,
one guy says to the other guy, "You missed this, and we didn't have a cost for it."
Yeah, yeah.
They realize that
Yeah.
they're off, and then you make sure you have the right number, and they agree with what they're seeing in
Yeah.
the marketplace.
Yeah,
They-
and in the end, it looks like this,
Yeah, well,
right in the middle.
then you agree.
okay, I got a compromise for the committee to think about, and I think we can do it right now. I'd go for one estimate in CDs, but not there in DD, so I'd cut that price by 18,000 and save another 18,000 in the estimate.
So you're saying you're.
I'm saying I think we pay, let's leave one in there for
For one time.
one extra estimate by a third party, instead of having two, and then we can.
I think that's reasonable.
Mhm.
No, I don't think we need.
But, and it's,
So we're leaving it, we may not even use it, but instead of putting 36, we'd put 18.
right, so we would want to give some thought to, if we did want to use it, at exactly what point in the process would we
Correct.
want to use it?
Exactly.
That will be that'll be a key
Right.
choice to make, but okay.
So Brian, can you make that adjustment when you revise it, please?
Yep, I'm taking notes.
Okay, so that's gonna go to 18. All right, I'll keep going if you want. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so the next category, John, is your category, and I'm gonna challenge you here. So when you submitted paperwork for us to consider lately, your number was $100,000 less than what's in these categories now, which this adds up to 1,206,043. The items you sent over for us to consider was 1,001,000 something. Did you incorrectly not carry the feasibility study in your total, or are you saying the total will actually be $100,000 less than this?
If you look carefully at my numbers, you will see that I carried the feasibility study outside. I made a correction down at the bottom, paid by other funds, which included the feasibility study, $100,000.
Okay,
So it's already out of my number.
right, but as far as the total for the whole project is concerned, this number is correct then, the 1,000,002, because he's carrying the feasibility. OPM is putting the feasibility study price in there just to show us the whole project.
Yeah,
value.
that's great, except for one big problem you have here. The problem is that you're asking for a certain amount of money from town meeting, and it's coming from this total. And a lot of this money has already been provided by others outside of the town meeting request. That's why I put it that way.
Okay, well, he's deducting it later from the funds we got, so I guess we'll move on. from
Wherever
that.
you deduct it, it balances out either way, either Brian's
Right.
way or my way. They both acknowledge the $100,000.
Okay, so
So the $100,000 listed here as part of the feasibility study
Mhm.
has already been accomplished and already been paid.
Paid by others.
The first two.
And that is accounted for at the very end in the dark green.
Right.
Where it shows the funds that we have already spent on the project to date
Yeah.
that covered that.
And I accounted for before I got to the additional possible funding, because that was already given. So I
Okay,
took it out
so-
early.
As far as-
Either way it balances, it works.
Mhm.
Okay, so as far as the committee is concerned, I'm asking the committee, we're gonna keep carrying that just the way it's shown. The 1,206,043
I think so.
for Catlin's pricing.
Yeah.
Good on that?
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll go to the next category. Now it's broken out into specialty services for the architect and the engineers. And again, this is a limited amount of work that's listed here, but when Mr. Catlin met with Vertex, they made a determination that John was carrying money for the item called FF&E procurement, which previously was listed at 75. John has already got money and some thoughts in there, so we've reduced that to 25. The geotech and the next two items, which are geotechnical services, I believe we've been relocated to a different category in the budget. So we've taken them out of the specialty services and moved them down into where they end up down here.
Administration.
Administration,
Mhm.
Okay, so we moved them down.
basically
Alright, so-
administration or cost by the owner.
I got it. Okay, thank you. So anyway, the long and the short of it is this category is now $25,000 instead of $150,000, but there really was only a $50,000 savings between John and the Vertex under the procurement cost. Okay, so now,
Just one comment on that. That's suggesting that there may be a cost during construction for geotech services beyond what they've already done. And our experience on this particular issue with the soils that we have, I don't believe we're going to need additional geotech services. But that's a placeholder that Vertex would like to have in there. I would not count, I looked at it as that, the way I see that, that's why we have a construction contingency. Besides little issues that come up, let's say you get a big rock in the way, we may have to have the geotech show up to look at something that the contractor or our engineer is concerned about. But I would take that out of construction contingency, and I would not carry a separate line item for that. Yeah, it's very slim.
Is that 31.70 or 31.75 for both?
both.
What line item are you on, by the way? I'm looking for this.
It's 31.70 and 31.
Oh, there it is. I see.
They both got,
Yeah.
they both got moved down, they both got moved down to administration.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I don't see any reason to get geotech out to the site. Not in this condition. If we had a lot of water or organic materials or rock, I'd say geotech might be called up, but our engineers cover all that stuff.
So we can take 75 out of administration? Is that?
No,
We're in the architect and engineer, and we're gonna leave that at the total now will be 25,000, just the way it's shown on the sheet.
yeah, and I would put that in as a contingency item, and I move that down to contingency. That's just me. I'll let it to you guys decide.
Okay, John, so you're telling me that the contingency at the end of this, which is now, I think there's a 2% and a 4%. You believe this 25,000 is within one of those contingencies?
Yes. We never
Okay.
spend that 4%. In the history of my firm, the only reason why we spend it is that the town decides after the project's going well to start using some money to buy in other things that they would like to have. We never have gone through more than about 0.5% of the contingency.
Okay, so based on that, what do you guys think about taking that 25,000 out?
Well, you would still
Yeah.
carry it, it's just consider it a contingency item. And don't add contingency.
What
We're
I'm,
talking about procurement now.
what I was asking you was, under the specialty services for FF&E procurement, 25,000 that's left there, you feel is in the contingency?
No, I'm talking about the geotech. Oh,
Sorry, I'm sorry. Excuse me. My mistake.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, I
so
was looking at geotech, which
Okay.
I don't see it being carried anymore.
It
The
is being carried.
25,000
I
is
can,
for,
I can explain it. So
Yeah.
in the far left column, we had 75,000 for FF&E procurement, lines 3160. That was reduced to 25,000 based on talking with John.
Yeah.
The geotech in 3170 and 3175.
I moved down.
Down to administration, we actually have in line 20.90, we have geotech costs spent to date. I think Dan just sent us an update today that's slightly higher than that, I believe.
Yeah.
Based on what's already been performed, so that 10,000 is gonna go up to, I think, maybe 16. And then we moved it.
13.8.
What's that?
13.8.
13.8, so it's gonna go up to 13.8, and then the 25,000 that we were carrying for construction phase geotech, again, not knowing if the geotech wanted to come out and see the bottom of the foundation or something, we moved that down to line 2095. John is suggesting, instead of carrying 25,000 in 2095, if something were to come up during construction where we need the services of a geotech, that we would take it from contingency. And I would suggest it's a soft cost contingency because it's coming from one of the owner's vendors. It's not a construction contingency for the contractor. So he's saying, make that 25,000 zero. If and when something happens, take the money from contingency
yes,
to reduce the
And
budget by another 25,000.
So the contingency he's talking about is design and construction phases. Contingency.
yes.
Yes, it's the soft cost contingency at the bottom here. Right now, we're carrying 2%. So right now we're saying there's $72,000 in not in owner supplied vendors like a geotech cost if they come up. We would take any fees out of that 72,000 during construction.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure why we had that in there.
I like it. I like
The
the
72,000.
Because
I've never carried anything like that. I just
We
carried.
need-
general
we need a
contingency.
we carried the exact same budget structure on Walpole, so you did.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Okay,
glad
so-
to hear that. I bet we didn't spend it either.
And, okay, so what, everyone agrees we're just gonna take that,
25 hours?
25,000 out of, I'm talking 20.95.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you got a little extra money spent earlier.
Okay, good. All right, so we kind of jumped all the way into administration. So let's go through the whole administration section. So the very first thing in administration, everyone okay with that? Moving right to the whole section now. There was an item in there, 20.10 for legal fees of $20,000. I think there's been a discussion, Katie, you can lead, or maybe Robert can get involved with this, but we anticipate that if there were legal fees, that the legal fees at this point in time would be covered by our town council agreement. And we don't anticipate legal fees at this point to be part of this project. So we took it out.
So would that cover the legal fees for, you said reviewing contracts with the general contractor, correct? And then,
Well,
but that,
you understand that the contract is part of the specifications. There is no discussion. He signs whatever his bid is. He signs the contract that's in the spec. There's
Oh.
no negotiation of the contract.
Well, so
That's
we
not
put a
really-
placeholder in this line item for if the town's council has to review whatever contract we provide in the specifications, and there's gonna be costs associated with that. Some towns don't want that to go into their general council fund. They put it towards a project. If there happens to be a bid protest on a subcontract bid or a GC bid, and town needs legal representation, do they bill that to the project? Do they put that towards the general fund? We've done it both ways. We just put it in there as a placeholder, given the state of the project, to say if town is gonna say if something comes up related to the project and we need legal counsel's advice, those fees would go towards the project budget, so we had a placeholder. If you wanna make it zero, you can make it zero.
Yeah, my one concern, to be fair about it, I don't disagree at all with what Brian's saying. But my issue is, we need to have a number that passes town meeting. How we resolve it out the other side is our job with the drawings, the documentation, and how it's bid. I don't dispute the fact that there could be some costs relating to bidding, but to start loading it up front here before town meeting And with a number that's not palatable, that's where I have some problems. So it isn't unreasonable to think about that, but that's why we carry contingencies.
So what about any of the conservation management stuff? Is
So
that
we got
gonna
that in-
require
We've got
that
that-
somewhere else
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
in
down
this
in
line?
permitting.
Okay, well, maybe
Yeah.
since we have Robert on the call, maybe he would like to weigh in.
What,
I can-
I guess, Robert, what kind of support could the construction of this project have from town council as part of its regular duties?
Madam Chair, good evening and good evening to the committee, Robert Pomper and the town manager. The town council budget and town council would cover most of these, would cover these costs that you're talking about. In other words, as mentioned by Brian and others, any contracts for any project are reviewed by town council. So that would be covered. If there is a bid protest, which we hope there isn't, but they do happen. As Dan knows from DPW, town council would handle that, and it would be covered. So, just like with any project, what you're discussing as far as legal fees, would be covered under the town council, budget. And in the event that something exceeded what we'll call sort of the normative course of business, and if I had to get a reserve fund transfer for the town council line item, that could potentially happen. But I think that all the standard legal matters with a project of this nature, just like any project from the town, would be covered by the town council legal budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that, Robert.
All right, so going back, we have 0 there now, and it looks like 0 is the correct number there, so we move on from that. The next item is advertising, and there's been no change there. Those are typically have fees that are associated with bidding the project and advertising for the bids and whatnot. And the OPM and the architect agree on that amount. The next item is 2055, which is MEP commissioning during construction. So again, they seem to have agreed to not make a change there. John, do you guys have a history of these actual costs? It's 50,000?
Yeah, the last job we did was about $36,000. That was in, I think, I'm not sure, it was in North Andover. And in Wilbraham, it doesn't even show up, so I'm not sure what was done there. We went through, I went back to the OPM, went back to the town. They don't have a line item on that, so I'm not sure where that went, but I know that our MEP engineer was very involved in that. But I would carry, I think we should carry money. I think, it was $35,000 3 or 4 years ago. I might, 40,000. I think that's a lot of money for a very highly detailed set of drawings on MEP. But the trick is, on behalf of the town, we want something that runs efficiently. And generally, that's what the commissioning does. It verifies that everything was done, the parameters were set up correctly. So I would definitely carry some money, whether it's $25,000 or $30,000. I think we need to carry something. 50 seems to be a little stiff, but.
Does the committee understand what this MEP?
And I will ask my engineers about that.
You guys all get it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this is an outside, the project is built by the contractors under the contract with the general contractor. A third party comes in, who's a specialist in making sure those installed, so it's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection systems are operating exactly the way they're designed. There's a chance that can be installed, yet they're not commissioned to the exact specifications. So this is protection for us, that the systems that are installed are looked at by a professional engineer whose job it is to make sure that they run in accordance with the specifications. The contractor has an obligation for that as well, but typically in this kind of work, you want to double check that that's being.
Public bid. It's public bid.
So the design engineers for the mechanical, electrical, the plumbing.
Yeah.
They design it.
Right.
somebody
They-
builds.
They also verify it, but generally you often bring
Yeah,
in a
they-
third party.
They do field inspections as well, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And then the commissioning agent or commissioner confirms that how it was designed, how it was built is correct for
And-
how it was
It
designed.
was started up correctly, it's running correctly, they'll do testing, they'll put together data that we can look at on each of the items. And so they'll tell you that this particular piece of the mechanical system is doing what's supposed to be doing, or they'll tell them it's not. So they'll find.
They'll
an
verify,
adjustment.
they'll verify that you're getting the proper air in each room that's called for, let's say 400 CFM.
Would we have access to the commissioning agent like 6 months after the building is open, just to confirm, as opposed to the day it opens?
Right,
Yeah, a lot of times you write into their contract, they do a 10-month follow-up before your warranty's up for installation.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
And if they need to come back, say you open it in the winter time, they'll come back and make sure that the seasonal changeover to air conditioning and everything's working.
Yeah,
Okay.
in fact, what Brian's saying is that one thing we do is at 11 months, we do a complete walkthrough with our engineers and our team with the town to verify that that's when your warranties generally are up, 12-month warranty. There are other warranties that go on much longer, but this is to make sure we get any corrections that are necessary. So if a room's too cold or too hot, we work that out with the contractor.
I'll get it.
That's between 10 and 11 months.
All right, that makes sense. Thanks, guys.
So we're gonna leave it.
Well, I think.
Well,
John says take 10 out.
35,000.
we could.
Want to take out 10, make it 40? It was just a
Sure.
report, we don't know
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Brian?
Can really gonna make that much of a difference.
Well, every 10 could count.
Every 10 counts, yeah.
That's- All
Yeah,
right,
I think we based this on Littleton was 40 and change, so Brian just put in a round number of 50 when we put together a budget.
okay,
We
so
can change it to 40 if you want.
Yeah,
it's 40 now.
And that's, is that 20?
20.55.
Yeah, item 20.55 MEP commissioning, 50 to 40. Okay, now, this is a question that we have had on this budget, which is the owner's insurance, builder's risk, which is item 20.70. And I think it's still an open question. John and Brian, this is typically carried by the contractor?
well,
Do it either way.
either way, some towns just don't trust the contractor, but they actually have to write a policy of which the town is notified if there's any issues with that policy during the construction. And it has to continue on a certain amount of time. We usually put it in the specifications for the contractor to carry it. However, we've had a couple towns that said, we want to own that. So it's either or. Either way, the town pays for it. One of the advantages you have if you pay for it yourself is that there are certain markups that the contractor puts on the overall cost. Generally, they'll put the insurance in at cost to them, but they might also put some markup on it. So
Yeah.
it's up to the town.
Yeah,
Okay.
5,000 is not an unreasonable number for whoever. The town might, maybe Robert could look into
Yeah, I was gonna ask
having
about
the
it's always
town.
good to have your carrier, ask your carrier what they'd recommend.
Yeah, what they would charge.
Oh,
And that's the way
Okay.
we would carry it.
okay. I think this is a good opportunity for us to ask the town on a project like this, whether the town could step up for 75,000 or just whatever the cost of the builder's risk is. And the reason I say that is I think the town probably has buying power that might save us a few dollars over asking, typically when you ask the contractor to do it, just like I said, he has to get a markup. They have to get paid for their office staff, they have to get paid for handling the paperwork, they have to get paid for administration. So it's still gonna be outstanding as of tonight, because we don't really know an answer there, right?
Yeah, the contractor wants to be very competitive though.
Okay,
And you have to approve, we put in the kind of insurance carrier that's allowed. It's always AAA, highly rated. And generally, they all use the same guys.
The town.
Dan has something to say, damn
Well,
it.
yeah, Brian, Or mentioned there was an advantage to that if the town carries it, because then if there is an issue after the fact, it's pretty easy. We have our insurance company, you can go to them and get it addressed quickly rather than having to go to the contractor and deal with the hoops and trying to get it done.
Yeah,
It's-
a lot of towns prefer to carry it themselves to get the volume, to add it on to other policies, to have total control over it, to know the number,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so
Why don't you have the town price it out?
yeah, so this was just a placeholder.
Yeah.
The rates vary depending on the project, depending on the town, but I mean, it's just a placeholder in the budget saying that there's gonna be a cost associated with this in this project. And here's a budget line item for it.
So if we ask the town, which we will do, to estimate the value of this, would we exclude a lot of the soft costs and only include the building and site work as part of the builder's risk? In other words, the work.
It's strictly the construction.
Strictly the construction is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So it may only be like a 10 or $11 million builder's risk policy, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but then, just for the construction, but then you do have to talk about, when your furniture goes in there, if you're moving anything in like IT, like equipment racks before the building is done, because sometimes that stuff has to get in before the construction is over, so there's a little bit of an overlap. But yes, big picture, you're only gonna carry the new construction costs. Like if you were demoing a building, you wouldn't carry the cost of demo either.
Okay, so we should be able to get our arms around what,
Yep.
that question to ask for the amount for the town, okay. So at the time being, we're gonna leave that money in there, we're gonna ask the town.
The
if
price.
they can budget that and price it for us. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so the next section starts with 20.80, and there's been changes here, and I think maybe Dan might wanna take this part.
Yeah, well, site survey, 20.80, spent to date, that probably is about right, 11,200, and today I was reviewing things and I sent this to Vertex. We are contracted for 16,100 right now with, David E. Ross. There's 10,000 for the site and processing the A&R. And then there's 6,100 was for the Bishop Road survey for the water main
Right,
extension. So that's that one.
so that number goes to 16 something.
16,100.
Isn't that in that $1 million we're carrying for the site
Yeah.
utilities?
We haven't got there yet. No, it
Yeah,
isn't.
but that's part of providing water and whatever.
Yeah, but we usually try to keep it to the same code by the same vendor, John, just to keep it clear. But I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I understand that,
not-
but that's,
I
Yeah,
did
we'll
not,
we'll reduce the $1 million by the $6,100.
We're good there. Moving on to the next one.
permits and approvals, $60,000, so that's a placeholder for additional MISA fees for the application. We have spent 10,000 to date. I'll take a closer look at that too. I was looking a little today, there could be additional fees as we talk about the CMP. I don't expect anything significant, but processing of that. And then we get down into geotech, 20.90, so in design, that number, I think we mentioned the 10,000 spent to date is really 13,800 because we had the passive shear velocity test, that was 3,800.
Okay,
So 13,800, and then we talked about the geotech, the next line item, 20.95 for during construction. And we all agreed, and I agreed too with John and crew that we could, use the construction contingency for that 25,000. Given the nature of the site and unlikelihood we would need a geotech, which we haven't used on any other building projects.
we actually have really good soils. It's just that the earthquake stuff was a problem. And that helped us a lot once we did that shear wave. I think the idea of having these guys come out, what would happen is that my structural engineer will be out there inspecting the rebars and the ditching for the foundation. And if he sees an issue, he will then request a geotech to review it. The odds are very slim on this project. We did have an issue in Long Meadow where we have a really difficult soil conditions. Here, the water table's way down. it's gravelly stuff. I would definitely move that to contingency.
Yep, we'll reduce that to 0.
You wanna,
Okay, so going back to Vertex, to Brian, so item, site survey 2080, that number now becomes 16,100
Correct.
from 11.2. Item, 2090 becomes 13,800 from 10.
Correct.
And the last item, 2095, becomes 0 from 25.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is pretty easy, moving. So we obviously determined there's not much to move here. So we took a placeholder and dropped it down to $5,000 for moving. So which basically moves the products from this senior center to the new senior center. No change in the big item, which is the estimated cost to bring utilities. The only thing that should change here is I don't think we have gas as part of the wording. There's not gonna be any natural. Did you use that as natural gas? Is that what you were thinking Brian, when you put that in? It says
I think
gas.
that's just, that's just a general title to the budget line. It doesn't necessarily correspond, just so people understand what we mean by utility company fees.
Okay,
I
well,
think,
there's no
I think in the notes we just have associated with water and electric.
Yeah, it should be just, I think it's primarily water, electric and fiber for our
yeah,
building.
So the propane is in a different line item?
It's in the,
Propane,
That's just dead.
it's in the-
Remember they said they would do the tanks for free if we
yeah,
Yeah.
propane,
service.
the piping and whatnot will be probably done by the propane company or a plumber.
All right.
All right, so we're not making any changes there, Dan. at this
Not
point.
right now.
Hope we have a question. Go ahead.
We still do not have a amount for the electric, right?
A bid, you mean, from the power company?
If it's electric, how much it would, right?
we don't have that number
We
yet.
don't have it yet,
Right,
so it could be more than $1 million,
Yeah.
all that to put in, it could be.
no,
no,
I'm just totally based on our current progress, no,
We've had
We
many
just don't have
meetings.
official-
He's had a lot of meetings with him and
yeah,
it looks like the anticipated costs will be within our budget at this point.
right.
All right,
Okay, so the next item is 2140, construction testing. And this, for purposes of this table, is things like concrete testing, steel welding. Do they do any welding tests and things like that, John?
generally not, but my engineers do that, but they might, depends upon, you never know which way these contractors are. If we get a really good contractor, we're not gonna have too much trouble. But we do really need to test the concrete and the asphalt for the parking lot and compaction. Compaction in the, for the foundations, compaction for the parking lot, compaction for the
Okay,
sidewalk.
so we're good on that number.
That's UST or somebody like that. You'll bid it out.
UTS, yeah, we'll bid out, get multiple prices based on the structural engineers program for testing on the job, and they'll bid apples to apples, and then we'll sign somebody up.
Yeah,
Okay, so we went from 50 to 35 based on the discussion between Catlin and Vertex. Miscellaneous project costs, I guess it just makes sense to have something in there for
Paper clips?
paper, yeah, printing, media, other things, so.
I'm selling you guys the paper clips, all right? And I'll-
What's your markup first?
Non-bid. It's an. it's
So that takes
non-bid
us to page 1. Okay, so now we're moving over to page 2.
actually, before we
Yes, please.
go there,
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of miscellaneous project costs, do we want that number to be higher to accommodate the cost of, because it's a special town meeting, like with the election cost, because it's not annual town meeting?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that would fall into this. I think the 8,000 represents some stuff you've already spent with like advertising, or not advertising, but some of the other printing you've done. If you're gonna do stuff with flyers, does that come out of that budget? Those are the questions.
Yeah, we should get the number, because I think if this was a fall town meeting, right, the only ballot question would be this.
Would be this,
Be
yeah.
born from the project.
Don't we have an email?
Oh, there's a bunch
from
of-
Tom
It's
for 15 times?
It's 7,500 is in the last
mean, the
one that I
ballot.
have.
That would be the balance. It's a cost, but-
7,500, so I guess I'm just wondering if that,
Not the town meeting.
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
should make, 2150 larger to accommodate that.
Yeah, I think we should have the,
Yeah, maybe we should, outside of this, maybe figure out that number.
Okay,
I think we figured out that number when we talked to him about the insurance.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay,
It's a town-
all right, okay,
town
all right,
manager.
all
I
right.
think it'll come, a lot of that number will come from the town clerk.
We should be able to.
I know, I guess I'm saying it's not in here.
Right,
So,
yeah.
right, yep.
Good point.
Okay, so the next item, we asked the OPM at the last meeting if they could break apart, this is 40/20. If we could break that base construction into two parts, meaning the building and the site. And this is a way for us to get closer to what the building actually costs per square foot and the site development costs, which includes many, many items. So the paving, the septic system, the drainage system, utilities underground at the site lighting, driveways, parking lots, walkways, so on and so forth. Landscaping, you name it. So we can see here now that we have a base building cost of $838 a square foot, 8748, oh, excuse me, 9221 in the left. And this is also where the OPM has made a change. If we reduce the square footage to 13, so now the column on the right reflects that lower potential building cost. In addition, the base construction for the site is broken out and shows us it's over $2 million. And those adjustments, small adjustments have been made there as well to take out a patio, which we discussed as a possible becoming an alternate. So this is kind of an important breakdown.
So can
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
confirm something that what you're saying here is that taking out another 700 square feet has an impact on the building base construction, but it really does not affect, because these two, the yellow column and the green column for 40/20 are the same for the site. So you still have to carry the same, essentially same site costs, even if you bring the cost of, even if you bring the square footage down. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to throw in a little two bits here. If I take out a square foot, you're not going to save 800 and whatever, what is it, $838. You won't say that even.
They're not
Building
showing
the
that.
building.
They're not.
Yeah,
They're not-
building the building through mobilization and everything else, because you're skinning it down a couple hundred square feet, you don't save that amount of money. You may save a portion of that. What I'd recommend is that Dan and I, in my office, Dan Arts and I, will work on the building itself to adjust it a little bit without changing program. And we already did a whole lot from our first estimates way back when it was like $1.5 million more than it is now. By taking out a lot of the shed work around the side of the building, the top of the building. And also one other thing we're going to be doing is that we'd like to recommend that the sidewalk that goes all the way around the building be changed to a hard packed gravel walk. And there's a fair amount of saving there. And down the road, maybe 4 or 5 years from now, you can pour concrete there if you'd like. It's very easy to do that, but it'll give us a significant savings. Flat work is pretty expensive. But Dan Arts and I, we're already starting to work on the building to not change the program, which is critical because we're building this building for 20, 30, 40 years out, and you're not going to add to it. I've been doing this for 40 some years. I've had one senior center in the past do an expansion that we'd already designed for, but nobody else has expanded, even though they always said, oh, we will. But every single one of these centers, 2 years out, 3 years out, said we should have made it bigger. So I think it's very dangerous for us to shrink the building for program, but I think we can make some adjustments to satisfy the selectmen that the building is more efficient. And we're going to work on that.
I mean, I would agree that, about your caution that it's important that the building be right-sized in order to, deliver the program that the community needs. And I know that we've already taken it, or you've already taken it down, I don't know, 500, 600 square feet maybe from 14.2 to,
I think we were at 14.8 at one point,
14.8.
and
Yeah,
then
we're-
down to
yeah.
13.7, and now we're down to 13.
We're about
flat.
1,000 square feet smaller.
Yeah,
And,
so
and there's
I
a few
think-
other minor things we can do that we can work on that you
And I know
won't
that
notice, but
there were
the
some-
selectmen will.
that, again, I would just, for me, I think it's important that the building retain its operational integrity and be able to deliver what community need over time. And, going down to 13 even is, 1,800 from the first go round, 1,200 from the second go round, and now losing another 700 square. So, I mean, if you take your house down by,
Well,
Yeah.
I think it represents from the time we started to now, like somewhere, I'm not doing the math in my head, but like a 15 to 18% reduction over the time. Because I do think it's important, though I agree with you, we want to make sure the program has the integrity, and by program, we mean the layout of the building. The rooms and the spaces that are there are able to meet the needs now and tomorrow. But I also think we need to be acknowledging some broader community sentiment. And so I think that going from 14.8 or whatever it was down to 13 flat, hopefully that's two sets of reductions of nearly 1,000 square feet. And I appreciate that John's saying that he's not going to take a room out by doing that. He's going to try and make the building just much more efficient, just even more efficient than it already was. But I think we do need to show a good faith effort to respond to the concerns that are out there.
and I, again, speaking for myself, I think we have in fact done that over the last two go rounds. And the caution from all of our initial investigative work has been, don't build it too small.
Yeah.
And those cautions ring strongly for me. And again, I think, and I am not being dismissive of the need to be efficient and effective in how we address the select board's concerns. The broader concern for me is the community's concerns that within 5 years, somebody says there's no room in the yoga studio because it's too small, or the fitness room is now too small and we need to get another treadmill, or, or what have you.
And there is real political risk to that, but because spending the money and still not being able to get in the class is going to frustrate a lot of people, a lot of people. So I think we have to try and find that balance of how do we make the building as efficient as possible, show good faith that we're trying to address it, but not make it the cut so large that it impacts what we get in the end.
So I have a bunch on this. First of all, John, I think we all agree that you're not going to take down the exact number in dollars per square foot. We know that, and the OPM did not reflect that entirely in the reductions that he made. But you've mentioned many times that, and you said it in the last few weeks, that your responsibility is to try to work within the budget, as presented by the town. If we were to forget the conversation about square footage and so, can we decide, I'm reading the last column in green, that we could make the budget for the building $8,748,684, and that's it. That's our budget for the building, and then we likewise for the base site. So if you in fact believe that there's a way to save either in design development or in the construction documents, something in the future, is there a way for us to come to a conclusion that somehow, either with square foot reduction, finishes, Dan Art's working his magic, that we can come to a conclusion that we can
Dan
get
does
to
a lot of magic. I would say that.
What I'm saying is that I'd like to be able to get a commitment that we can get to 8
I
million.
do a number, I make that number 9 million plus the site. And I think there's no reason why we can't do that. Right now, it's really being hurt by a lot of soft costs, which I believe a lot of that will be covered in the contingency that we're already carrying. And I'm not a big fan of and maybe Brian can explain owner's project contingency. But we're gonna get down to those numbers. We have a ways to go here. But the contingency right now at 350,000 is quite generous. And if you add another 75 to that, that's the money that ought to be up there in the base construction cost. So let's work our way through the rest of these and then let's talk about the contingencies.
I'm trying to put you on the spot. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, carry 9 million, not 8.
No, I'm saying 80, trying to get it to 8,800,000. I'm
And
trying
I'm
to take,
saying 9 million seems reasonable.
okay, so.
It's not
that's
much
the
different.
difference.
There's a lot of soft costs here that need to be discussed.
If I can interject for one
We're
second.
dropping some of these alternates too. Go ahead, Brian, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I think the question here is whether or not the committee feels there needs to be a gesture of reducing the square footage based on the feedback from the select board meeting or not.
It
And
does.
I agree that it's not going to be necessarily a dollar for dollar reduction. However, I think going through the rest of the budget and having flexibility with alternates on bid day, potentially even, again, you can always reduce contingency on bid day as well. So if you get to contingency and the bid's 100 grand over your budget, you could make the contingency 3% at that point, like your budget's not necessarily baked in there. You'd be able to accept the bid and just lower your contingency as John's suggesting. What I think we're also thinking about is the estimator, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, typically tries to hit the midpoint of bids based on the market.
Yeah.
They're not giving you a low bid. They're not saying the low bid right now we think the low bid for this project is going to be 9.2. We're thinking contractor number 3 is going to be 9.2, and you're going to get a bid potentially lower than that. Obviously, you get a bid higher than that, but that's what they're trying to hit, the midpoint of a bid pool.
Absolutely right.
When you
Thank
look
you,
at the yellow column, keeping the project the same size, reducing the costs we've already talked about, some of them we have not, and you get down to the very bottom based on some of the funding. What we're saying is these last 3 numbers, the building's the same size. You don't take any alternates. The ask to the town would be 9.6, assuming you could raise $300,000 along the way, which I'm confident you can do. If you just take the generator and the partition alternates, your ask would be 9.9. And if you took all the alternates based on the midpoint bid, your ask would be 10.2. So to me, that speaks of you're in the ballpark if you're thinking you're going to get a bid less than the 9.9 already, right?
Yes.
And it really becomes a question of, do you think you need to reduce the building for other reasons? Because I think you're at a point now where you're going to bid this, and we're seeing bids be very aggressive right now. If the market continues that way when we bid this, I mean, you could bid this project and the construction could come in at 8.5 for the building. But we don't know that, so we're trying to give you as much flexibility in this budget as possible. I think the question really comes down to, do you think you need to reduce the building for other reasons other than just cost? Because we can make up the $500,000 in some other places.
What's really critical, let me add to Brian just briefly. What's really critical to understand here, Brian's absolutely right, but what's really critical is what flies at town meeting. Because if it doesn't pass town meeting in the vote, this is moot. So
Right.
we have to make sure that we're in the ballpark that is acceptable by this committee and the powers that be, that the town will buy into this with a certain amount of positivity. So it's really critical for us how important it is to look at these numbers, but also to understand if the town won't approve a $10 million building, we're wasting our time. So we have to make sure that we come in on a number, no matter what size the building is. There may be a political reason for the building to be 13. We'll make the building 13, one way or the other, without sacrificing your program. But what's really critical here is to make sure we have a number in the end that can be met. And what Brian is saying is that this is a mid-level estimate. It may come lower. We don't know where the market is in what, 5 months, but it seems to be that it's going to be quite stable. And I think we have every expectation to see this come in on budget. The problem is now, we gotta make sure this goes through town meeting.
So I think this is probably a good time to do another sense of the meeting for where the committee is at. So, thank you, Ken, for leading us through and Brian as well.
Not
for
done yet. I got more. But go ahead.
What? Okay, but did you want to fit, because at some point we do need, if you want to finish going through there, because Brian kind of skipped us to the end, if you want to hit the last couple of columns, but then I would like to go around the table and have each of the committee members, give a sense of where they are, because that will inform where we go next with the conversation. So Ken, go ahead, finish.
What I was gonna say is I agree with you. I think we should make our decision on 40/20 right now on the size of the building.
Okay, all right, so can we go around the table and say so we have reduced, we did one round of cuts to the building. And this is a discussion about whether to do a second round. So Ken, go ahead.
I think we have to do the second round of cuts.
Why?
The political pressure is too evident, too strong that they feel the building is too big. So we have to take a look at that.
And who's the they?
They is me now.
Let him finish, and then we'll go around.
So I just feel it's the appropriate time to take a close look at everything that we're doing. I said at the last meeting, but
So what's
I would shoot for, the number around 13 or just under 13,000. I'll leave it up to John to make some cuts in the shape of the rooms and whatnot and come up with that. Now, we may not have to do that physically in a drawing now. I think we may have to commit to it because we don't have money to do it now under the schematic design, but we may have to just commit to it during design development that the building will end up at the smaller number. That's my thought.
Dan?
I agree with Ken. I think in order to be successful, that seems the way that, this has to go, just the perception, the political reality right now. And then if we do when we go back to the select board, how do we explain what we changed since the last time we saw them? And, we've done a lot with some numbers and thoroughly reviewing the estimate. But we did, a significant amount is changing our contingency value and reducing the scope of the OPM during construction. That's most of what that's 600,000 or so. So really, I think, was what really brought up through the select board meeting was the size of the building was still a moniker that needed to be addressed. And I was wondering too, we've talked about going to town meeting. So, I think when we get there, we need to have, or before we get there, when we start doing average, we need to have the number that we're gonna go with for the ask. And then, Ken, you did just bring up, we might not have a plan, but I didn't know if those, and this is a question for John, could we have like a concept plan or something drawn up of what the 13,000 might look like?
Nope.
No?
We'll work on it. We'll mess around.
Oh, yeah.
I don't agree.
We
I
could
don't
get
agree with
additional
this
funds
assessment.
needed with the UTAG ask.
I agree. One of the problems that came up at the select board meeting, which I was not present at, was the bottom line number. And the automatic reaction to somebody who's not in this business, you got to make the building smaller. Not looking at how the number was developed. We have now looked very closely at this number, and one of the things that was not brought up as selectmen was the current estimate, which Brian just discussed. The current estimate is the mid-level expectation. The select board reacted to the number, and the automatic response is make the building smaller. And what Ken brought up was, well, wait a minute, a big portion of this is site that doesn't get adjusted very much. Therefore, when the building gets a little bit smaller, you save some money, but you're not saving the money the selectman was thinking they were going to save. So one of the problems is the politics is, sure, say it's 13,000 square feet. In the end, it might be 13,250 square feet. It's whatever it works out, but the budget will be met. And that's our job. That's the job of the architect. The OPM has got the whip to keep whipping the architect, and the town has only X amount of money. So our job is to bring it in on budget.
Well, maybe
Somebody
one.
gives me the budget, we'll build it to that. And the budget is not square footage, the budget is the dollars being spent. And if we have to do the square footage to make people feel good, we'll adjust it for now. But we'll see what we get when we get the final budget in, when you get the final numbers.
All right,
Just-
thanks, John.
You can't do it on square footage. It just,
I agree with John in the fact that, town meeting's everything. If we cannot get it past the town meeting, project's gonna be dead. And then we start over again. And I, agree that I feel that it has to be, the building has to be reduced, but I think it needs to be reduced more than 13,000. Because we came down from what, it was almost 15 and it came to 14 and then it came to 13.9 and now we're 13. I mean, I think we need to be in the 12s. I mean, ideally, I think it should be 12.5, which, I was looking at, that would mean reducing the kitchen and some of the, multipurpose room and possibly, evening off the end of the upstairs room of the, exercise room and the, park room or whatever next to that.
Activity, another activity.
But if you all look at the Town of Ayer's Facebook page, and I've had 2 calls about this from people. And somebody put up, what are you all thinking about the senior center? And there's huge discussions, most of which are the building's too big, the building's too expensive, why do we need this? And
Actually, if you tally the number, I mean to interrupt, but if you tally the number of different people responding, it's about 50-50. There's a lot of conversation and discussion around it, but it's about 50-50. But sorry, Karen.
well, I'm just saying, we have to make, and the selectmen, were adamant. It's not enough to say, we played with the figures and we saved $1 million. But then turn around and say, but we still need another 1.5 million, because I think this is based on still getting another 1.5 million.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I think they're gonna tell us, well, that's nice, but if you reduce the building the way we told you to, you might not need the 1.5 million. So I think we need to make some significant, and again, I don't think 13,000 is enough, but that's me.
All right.
And that's why I think that our public outreach is so critical to try to let people know what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it.
So I'm kind of torn, but can I just ask, so the difference going to 13,000, is that like the $500,000 difference?
Yes.
Okay. If it takes, reducing it to squeeze or show our efforts, and this is still with the community, I mean, if we have to make that to pass it, I would go that route. I'm still leaning more towards that. I don't think we should reduce the size of the building, but if that's what's gonna take, we're gonna have to do it. And it's hard because we've not gotten a solid feedback from the select board, in my opinion, so it's hard for us to make that decision.
Okay.
Well, going with what Robert said, that he thinks we can get the 3 million from the stabilization fund and the funds that are coming forward. If Robert tells us that he thinks that that will pass, then I think we should go with what Robert's telling us, that it's gonna pass if we come in with a $10 million grant, a $10 million bond, plus the 3 million, as opposed to trying to say, well, let's cut another couple hundred square feet here, a couple hundred square feet there. I don't think when you get into it, when you actually get into the building and you start using it, you're gonna realize a couple of hundred square feet is that's like cutting a classroom out of a building. It, just to save a little bit of money, I don't think it's really, I mean, if we cut it down to 13, we've made another round of cuts, we've got another 700 square feet off, we've taken off all of the niceties that are out there. And if Robert says, if Robert's saying with his professional opinion, talking to the people he's talked to, we can get through town meeting at this point, then I think we should try to hit that point and get it through.
Okay, so at first I thought you were saying no reductions, so stick with the yellow line, but then you were saying go to the green. I just want to make sure I understand.
Well, I think if we go with the green, and then once we get the funding and we see where the bids come in,
Right.
when we get into design and
That's too late.
construction, then we can say,
It's too late, that the building's already designed, when it goes to bid.
no, it's not, when
When
we
it
get
goes
to
to
town
bid,
meeting.
when it goes to bid, it's.
Right, we're gonna get approved
Right.
at town meeting long before we get ready for bid documents. So once we have the number from town meeting, we've been approved, then we can expand or contract the building to make it come into what the budget says.
I know what I was saying.
You know, so if
Use the
we get it approved and then the bids come in and the bid comes in at 83, we can say, okay, John, add a couple of square feet here, a couple of square feet there, and put it back where it was.
Okay.
Is a misunderstanding. But it's okay.
Yeah, so I think I do, and to Linda's point, I think the select board was a little unclear. It was my understanding that they wanted us to come in on budget or under budget. Now the argument has shifted to, but the building needs to be small or smaller. That is, regardless of how much money you're spending, we want the building smaller. If we could give them a 13,800 square foot building at their number, now my sense is, well, you can't do that. The fact that you're hitting their number isn't the point. They just want the building smaller for some arbitrary reason. Arbitrary reasons are not particularly, don't carry a lot of weight with me.
Mhm.
The admonition from senior centers over the last 3 years that we have looked at have been universally, don't build it too small. I am most concerned that 2 or 3 years after it's built, some members of the citizenry are saying, to Katie's earlier point, but there's no room in that class for me.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that
Or,
at all.
but, history will tell us that a lot of senior centers have been worried about that, and
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. So I did a little research. And when we're talking about getting town meeting approval, which essentially is what this has to be. In October of 2024, when the Stormwater Enterprise Fund was approved after the public outreach that Dan and his folks did, the quorum was 115. 115 people from the town of Ayer made the choice to approve that. When the fire engine pumper was approved, the quorum at that meeting was 112 voters. The ladder truck, that quorum at that meeting was 100, that was also 112. At the end of the day, town meeting approval will be contingent on, I think, not the numbers on the budget, but how many people. And for me, the question is now, can we get, let's say, 200 members of Ayer to go to town meeting and say yes? So those are the numbers that I'm focused on. If we can, so that's my emphasis. I think that we have to maintain the long-term operational integrity of the program. And we have to kind of convince the select board that, because again, convincing the select board is to put it on the warrant. I think we can convince the town meeting that it's a worthy spend of the money. I think the question is, can we get the select board to put it on the warrant?
Yeah, that even if we pass town
It's a ballot.
meeting, we
Yep.
have to go to ballot, in
Yep.
which case the whole town comes.
Well,
Wow.
The ballot is the big thing.
Yeah.
We know that, yeah.
right.
Well, yeah, more people vote at the ballot than go to town
Yes.
meeting for
So,
sure.
so. there
But
were-
ballot is a simple majority versus town.
Yes, the ballot is a simple majority. The ballot does not mention the dollar figure that is involved. It simply says
It's a 10 million.
approving the
The
project.
bond, yeah.
And the ballot question in 2022, there were a total of 397 votes. In 2023, there were a total of 354 votes. So those were the last two debt exclusion. So something under 400 votes for all of them.
I'd like to remind all of us that the field project behind the high school took like 5 years to get through. Because it was 2 towns involved and had to go 2 elections. It would win at the town meeting, lose at the ballot, and surely on and on it goes.
Right.
We don't want to be in that situation. We want to get this thing so that everyone agrees at the beginning, you've done the job, it's a little small. There's no question in my mind that making the building 700 feet smaller or whatever it is not going to have a big impact on the budget, but it's going to be important to show the steps that we've taken and to show we're managing the process. And that, if people don't, it's kind of amazing that they wouldn't believe that they've been managing the process thus far, because we've been doing it for so long. But then it's just another step in the process is the way I see it. And I think that we can make a top-notch building smaller, a little bit smaller, and no one will really know the difference. It's still gonna be a first-class building, everything we're gonna be proud of, and I think it works. So.
Haven't we gone from 14.8 or almost 15,000 square feet down to
Like
13?
14.4.
We were at, 14.8 down to
It was like
13.7.
13.7.
I had it 14.
Okay.
Either way.
Yeah,
So-
14.8.
All right, so my turn. So I'm gonna go in the reduce square footage camp.
Oh, okay.
And it makes me very sad to say that and upset to say that. I'm not happy about it, right? But my concern is that we went to this last select board meeting with that, huge reduction in square footage and price. And not a single select board member even acknowledged that level of change. They didn't even acknowledge it. It was nearly $1 million and it was almost 1,000 square feet. So my view would be that we take it down to the 13,000. If 13,000 gets us to 8.7 million, then that's a hill I'm willing to die on, which is we took it from 14.8 to 13. We have done what you asked. If this still isn't, we have met the budget, we have reduced the thing. If the select board isn't willing to support it at that point, then they don't value the project. So for me, I think we do need to give a little bit, but that's, it's got to come down to the number that gets us where we want to go. So that puts 1, 2, 3, 4 of us in the reduced square footage. 1 in the don't reduce, and 2 people that kind of could make the case either way. So I really think that solidly puts us as a committee in the green column. So I guess the question is then, that would, if we are able to reduce the building to 8.7 million for the base construction costs in line 40.20. And then we know we have to bring, per the town manager, we're gonna carry the generator and the partitions, right? Or that's the advice of the town
Yeah, I
manager.
prefer to not to say it's
Well, if-
our advice rather than.
If you
the town
go, if you
manager's
reduce it and you take all of the ads, our ask is still only 9,744,000. We're still
Right.
$250,000 under what they told us to come in at.
Right,
That's assuming a lot of funding,
Yeah.
additional UDAG,
The
additional
funding is,
capital,
right,
raising 325,
That-
getting
that's-
housing choice, so
right.
there's a lot of.
the funding's a big
Question
question.
marks.
So, but that really narrows the amount of question marks. I just want to be careful with our
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
We have worked really hard over the last 2 years to really refine these numbers and get this budget where it is. So I want to be careful that we're not saying things like lots of questions, because there aren't still lots of questions. There are a few pointed ones, but there aren't still lots and lots of questions. Where if we go into it with the idea that we're reducing square footage to around 13,000 square feet to hit the 8.7 million, then that gives us wiggle room with the ad alternates and a place to have a very pointed and specific discussion with select board, FinCom, and capital planning about that additional 1.5 and what ad alternates to take.
Mhm.
Now, I said this before, that was my plan before and it didn't work. I'll fully admit that. I was like, we'll go into the select board last time like this and it didn't work. But
Custer has
is-
the same idea.
Right, so,
Big one.
okay, so
Got one more thing.
you got one more thing? Okay.
Yeah. So we're good on that discussion, so.
Should we take a vote, though? I think we probably have to take a formal vote.
So are the alternates staying on, or what are we doing with those? at
So
this
I
point?
think the vote you would need would be that the committee endorses the reductions laid out in the green column to bring the total cost down to X amount, right? Like I don't know if 8.7 is what we need to vote on, or
Well, Brian's gonna revise the whole thing, so.
okay,
Yeah.
so we don't need a dollar value.
Katie, I would just recommend a reduction from the 13.7 down to as close to 13 as you can, because it's not gonna work out exact like John said. So it's not gonna, I mean,
Right, okay,
and
All right,
the
so-
number's gonna reflect whatever where you ever end up, but you're making a commitment to go down from the 9.2. That makes
Okay.
sense.
I mean, so we could vote that today, or we can wait till the new numbers come back and vote on the dollar value, but I think we're gonna wanna have some sort of action in place before the next select board meeting, and hopefully we have to go to them in August in order to meet all of the other deadlines.
Well, I think from a budgeting perspective, like, we're not gonna redo the estimate before the select board. I mean, you're just gonna take you're gonna take the square footage at the building cost and say you have say it's 13,000 or 13,100 or whatever it is. That's gonna equal a number in this updated budget, and you'll be able to show we've reduced the building, which we believe reduced the cost, we've reduced the soft cost, and we're coming in with a project. We're coming in with a proposed project, given some funding commitments between under $10 million. So you've checked both boxes, and I think you're right. At that point, it's becoming, do you support the project or not support the project?
Yeah,
That's
good point.
It's based on a lot of these.
So do we
Okay.
still have a gap at that point?
So the only gap, if we vote to bring the project costs down via soft costs and reductions in the square foot of the building to under the $10 million ask, which is the green column,
I think
right? The only.
we don't have
the
any
only-
control over this section. We only have control over the values above it.
Right,
The
right.
funding and all that.
Right, but what I'm saying is the only things that are hanging out there are about the 500,000 for the housing choice and the 325. Those are the only numbers that are not dark green, which is why you would not commit to your ad alternates, because even if you don't have those, you're still coming in under.
Okay.
Are you?
I see it completely differently.
Okay,
I see, whatever happens down in the funding, and actually, Brian, the very first column in the green, it's actually not additional. The first one is actually funding already approved. The dock section,
Yep.
so
Right.
if you could change that to funding already approved.
It is on the far right side, the last word on the top three lines.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm looking at the left, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the right, it's already approved. So anyway, the light green sections after that are still up to the select board, up to a lot of other committees. So I'm thinking all we can vote on is what we've done in the construction of the building and the soft costs above that, in order to say we've agreed on this. But we can't agree that it's under 10 million, because we don't know yet.
Okay, so would
So
we
I
be?
just have one tiny thing, I have one tiny thing to add before to Brian, one more thing. So I went through Fogarty's, this has to do with, and I called John about this today, Brian. In Fogarty's budget under the site, I believe he's got an extra $75,000 in there that doesn't belong there. That we could take out. And then he's got a section under site clearing called disposal of excess loom. 1,896 yards at $40 a yard for 75,840. In my experience, this would not be a requirement. We would figure out a way that the contractor would take the loom, reuse it, whatever, but I think we have an issue where Fogarty has made an assumption that maybe a closed site where you have to take things on the site, take things off the site and get rid of them and pay to truck it away. It might be different than what we have. So I'm suggesting that we take $75,000 out of the base construction of the site to lower that again. Because I don't think that's,
The problem we have here, Ken, is that this is a very, very preliminary set of drawings. And I don't disagree with your take on it, except that we're making decisions about numbers that we don't have a solid handle on yet. I
Well, we're
don't
not-
agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that
yeah,
it's
the
really
way
tough
that-
to mess with this guy's numbers until there are other places maybe didn't carry enough money. And it all balances out. I think if we nitpick that too early,
I think it's wrong. I think
Yeah.
it's more than.
No,
I mean, it doesn't matter what the site is, we're not gonna take $75,000 of loom off the site.
Yeah, right, I mean.
And drive it away. It doesn't matter.
it may not be loam, it may be just junk garbage.
He calls it loom.
But if we, I
He's
don't think
calling
we
it
wanna
loam, but
cut
it's-
it with too fine a knife
It's not.
at this stage.
Yeah.
For fear that we
Okay.
come in with a number that is so finely tuned that, 6 months or a year down the road, we're off by a bit, so.
Okay, we'll leave it then.
Okay, so we're still trying to figure out what the motion would be. Would it be to, because
So,
I'm looking below 4020, you've got your subtotals. But those are with all the add alternates in them. So what do we want the motion to be? It could be just simply that we vote to endorse the reductions to the soft costs and the square footage of the building. That might be all we can vote on right now. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's what I'm saying. So
A more
I'm
general-
thinking this is what we can vote on, this green number 14,943,678.
that we can't vote on that.
That number, that's been right.
Well, I don't know
project-
why you would,
Project total without alternates. Design and construction phases.
all right, so Ken is saying that he thinks the number that you could vote on 14.9, but I don't think you wanna vote on 14.9.
No.
You might want 15.2, or you might want
That's-
15.5.
That's up to
Yeah,
the committee, yep.
so, all right, other input, do you wanna vote just to accept the changes in the soft costs and the reductions and another round of reductions?
Yes,
So would it be, I'm just thinking that is, and again, I may well vote against the motion, I'm
Yeah,
suggesting
you
here,
can, yeah.
that that we vote to approve the work of the architect to reduce the size of the building to approximately 13,000 square feet. And that we endorse borrowing of less than $10 million.
Or up to 10 million.
Up to 10 million,
Yeah, as the town meeting asked, which
that's the,
ultimately it could end up. It could be different than that, I guess, because it could, we won't have some of these grants, we might have to factor that into the ask and then we get taken out. Sorry, making it more confusing.
Okay, so how about
That's right.
a motion to accept the proposed soft cost changes and pursue reductions in the size of the building to approximately 13,000 square feet? And just leave,
yes, and the reason I say that is I want to avoid a situation where, it comes in at 13,250, let's say, just because of the engineering required.
right,
And somebody says, you promised us under 13, and it should be 12,900.
well, I put approximately in the motion, yeah. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Yeah.
No?
I
Yes?
haven't
No?
heard the motion yet. The
Oh,
actual
so
motion.
I propose a motion to accept the soft cost changes as depicted in this document and pursue reductions in size of the building to approximately 13,000 square feet.
Well, do we want two separate motions? How about that? One to reduce the soft costs and one to reduce the size of the building?
That doesn't matter to me. Do you guys want two motions?
I don't think we need it.
I'd amend the wording soft cost to
Costs.
budget cost presented by Vertex and John Catman at this date. Tying it into what we talked about tonight, because there's gonna
Yeah.
be changes as of tonight. And then whatever that number comes out to, it'll get revised and we'll put it in.
Okay,
So it's not just soft costs, we changed some other things too.
Yeah, tonight.
We changed the hard cost of
Okay.
the building big time.
okay, so how about this? I make a motion to accept the budget costs as presented by Vertex and Catlin and revised after the 8-7 meeting to pursue reductions in the size of the building to approximately 13,000 square feet.
Yeah, just one more thing, as discussed and approved by the committee on this date, basically, so. We,
Well, but that's the motion
I guess
and the
that's the
motion
motion,
within,
yes.
that is the motion,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll second it.
Everybody, okay, all in favor?
I,
Any further
Any
discussion?
further discussion?
Anybody else have anything to say before we vote on it?
No.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
No,
Okay. Thank you, the motion passes.
75,000, I couldn't do it.
Okay,
Take it out.
so, all right, so does the committee have any specific suggestions for the reduction in the square feet? Or do we want to leave John and Dan to work their magic on
well,
it?
what I would say is that you, as the senior center director, should have an active role in the conversations in terms of which rooms could be saved or not, or some of it coming out of the kitchen, or, you know.
Mhm.
And again, I refer back to John's earlier admonition that you don't want to make the largest room, the multi-purpose room, too small, because that's ultimately the single most important factor in the efficacy of the building.
Right.
So, I would appreciate, or I would look to you to provide guidance to them about where you see operational savings perhaps, or where you would prefer that they not go.
Okay. That I can definitely do. We lost. Look at this. It's time to lose the owl again.
We'll hear you.
Yeah, I know. The owl just, the owl is not
your phones.
my friend. Okay, hang on a second.
Yes. Now it just made a noise.
Now it's back.
It's back? Know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's, it would, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Wow.
so, all right, so
That was
now we at
easy.
least have the audio back. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there must be something about our shifting of the table that's loosening the connections, you know?
Kidding.
I don't know. It shouldn't be, but that's why we have the IT budget in, don't touch it.
Maybe it's me.
That's what happens when you buy things in foreign countries.
That's why we need the IT AV budget that we need. All right, so we can do it a little bit more permanently. Okay, so anything else for this before we move on to the public outreach subcommittee's update?
Do we need a motion to formally ask the select board to put this on the warrant? Because isn't that, when do we have to formally ask this goes on the warrant?
Right, so
How
that's,
far out does that have to be done?
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it's pretty much, they're gonna have to endorse it at their April meeting, right?
August.
I'm sorry,
Not
sorry,
April.
August. Cause it's gotta go on, and I apologize, I don't have that.
He
Do you
said
have that date?
September 30th for like the drop
Yeah.
dead date.
Well, that's the drop dead date for the
Election.
warrant, not the warrant,
Right, you
the
have the,
Elections.
so the, no, the budget.
okay, September 3rd, okay.
It's mid-September is when the warrant closes.
No, September 30th, I think is the drop dead date. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what I
that was
wrote.
for the,
September
the
30th,
ballot.
okay.
That
So we
was a
have
drop
the
dead for the
potential
ballot.
to have an early
You're right.
September meeting, but I think we wanna be going back to the August meeting. We have what we need to go back to them. Because we also, you know, this is an excellent segue into the public
Yeah.
outreach. Is that we have some dates in September. We wanna at least know that we're moving forward so that we can be scheduling and getting those things queued up. So Linda, do you wanna provide a little bit of an update kind of on what the subcommittee's done?
So we went back and just tweaked the dates. Ellen, was able to secure a lot of the dates. So I'll start at the top. We did design, Katie designed a postcard mailer. We were going into the door direct, which would be delivered to everyone's household, and there was a little, we weren't sure if we're gonna stay on that route because of some findings, but I think we're back on the
Yeah.
door direct.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I don't have a second cost yet, and the cost I had was actually off a larger postcard, so is this the size you're proposing to send out?
When I designed it in whatever size we talked about. When I printed it, I just printed it so I could fit 2 per page for the sake
Okay,
of
so
ours,
the
but
six, so the,
yeah.
the pricing we had originally was on 6.9, which is a little, I don't have it with me, it's a little bit larger. So when we get the green light from the select board, that's gonna trigger really our first mailing, which we are hoping to get out early September as our first, because that's gonna announce all the public outreach dates. Those are all posted, and the first date is September 15th, so we really do need to get the first mailing out as soon as possible. So the design's ready, we just need to finalize what printer we're gonna use, and then when we get the green light, we can schedule the date. So the first mailing's pretty much taken care of, you know.
Is everyone, is everyone all right with this? This is a more, like a not allowed red and yellow advocacy piece of mail, because we can't send advocacy mail. We could make it loud. Ellen, if you wanna hold up that one. So that one is more an example of an advocacy. That would be something the Friends could do. Since we can't say vote yes, we're supposed to be giving out information. I went for a more muted color scheme, but if, I would be happy to receive edits, offline.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a few, I would send you.
Okay, great.
It's, no, would inadequate parking be better than not enough?
Yeah, I had some wording suggestions.
Yeah,
too.
okay, great, yeah. And that's, for any of the members of the public here, this is a draft document, so, this
I think
is.
you should make too small, literally too small.
There you go.
What?
Yeah.
Get all the, so they have to go like this and go, what the?
What?
What does that say?
What is it?
You could consider a QR code for that link at the bottom too.
That is,
Yes.
they have a little square right
Oh,
there,
that's-
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
the square is going to be that, but yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That will be on this side. And then this would be wherever the postal
This
piece
two,
can
yeah,
fit
this
there.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
What's
ADA
meeting?
So, all right. So if people want to email me or talk to me afterwards for specific edits to this, that would be great. Sorry, Linda, go ahead and communicate.
No, that's fine. So that would be our first mailing, which would announce all the public outreach dates. We talked about sending out a 4-page flyer. That postage, again, is a lot more money than sending out a postcard. We might want to consider just using that 4-pager for counter displays and handouts at events. And that could start again as soon as we have, final commitment from the select board. So that would be early September, could be all the way up to, the town meeting date. The second postcard, which could be more of alert, red and yellow, or just we could do a different color. We are trying to get, to see, and that could actually be a smaller size, really kind of towards the getting closer to voting. That would have to come from the Friends, budget, which that could be the message. We need your vote yes. that would be much later. Like I said, approaching the date of the town meeting. We can't do the mailings with the utility bills, just too much conflict. So that,
me.
no, I didn't mention your name.
Yeah, we've had issues, I forgot in the
No,
past.
that's okay. I just,
Throwing out the bill, think
so the website, Katie, I guess you could update on us on the website, because I don't know.
Use it sparing.
So that was one of the things that I remember when we were talking to Vertex in those interviews, was that, you know, they have helped people create an independent website. Because I know the town's website is really limited to that 3-column format. So,
She thought it was 6.
yeah, okay, so that's really limited to, it's really limited in the layout, the look, the feel of it, and I have been trying to update. No worries. I've been trying to update as we go, and I need to do another round of updates to the town's website, but I think it would be helpful to have an external one. Brian, can you comment on, I know Littleton has their own, because Littleton has the same sort of government platform, but then Littleton had the center on Shattuck.com or whatever. Did you guys design that for them, or did they have someone doing that?
They brought someone in for that and we helped feed the information.
Okay.
And does it have to be more like town specific, like follow their,
We don't have to follow their format.
well, I don't mean format, but like we're talking about can we advocate on that, or is it just informational purposes?
And does the building committee have a website? I apologize. Is that the town site that you're talking about?
Right, so the building committee's website is limited
Something.
at the moment to documents and agenda and minutes. And then the senior center has been doing sort of a summary and including like the highlights. But that's both on ayer.ma.us. But that's wholly different than a separate external site.
Does the friends group have a website? Because that's usually a good place that they can post.
They don't.
But if we made a new one, we could make it possibly under the Friends.
So I think it probably would. I think if Vertex didn't really do that, and we would need to go out and do it on our own anyway, I think that's something maybe the Friends are meeting next week to discuss with them whether they have the funds and the capability to do that, because that certainly would allow far more advocacy in addition to the information. So we could have a lot of overlap between the websites, but
So Ellen has an update on their funds, how much they have right now.
I did talk to, Betsy Diskin, and she received their, statement, bank statement in the mail, and they had $1,700 in their, account, but that did not include the $200 that was, pledged by Tiny. So technically, they have approximately 1,900.
right. And they do have some additional pledges, which right now they're pledges, so they don't have the money in hand. But there's $3,500 that would come on top of that for a bench, and the $9,000 for the fireplace. So, but they don't have that. That's a pledge. It's not actual money to.
So some of the public outreach would have to come from those funds then, so if we did the second website or this other flyer, that would have to come from the Friends funds, and I'm not sure how.
I don't know
much
that the website's gonna cost that much, depending on, my
We could pay
daughter,
for the host, right, or the be,
it might be a few years.
yeah, there is.
Yeah, but I don't think, yeah, my daughter designs websites, I can talk to her to see if I can.
Okay.
Yeah, and we actually, I mean, we didn't do it for Littleton. Littleton had some that they use, but we do websites for some of our projects. Like you just buy a Wix platform and they have a canned format of however you want to do it. And then it would be administered by the building committee. So it'd be informational only versus an advocacy website.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's how we do it for some school projects, and we use the Wix platform or something similar to that, buy the domain name, and then they come with those canned formats, which makes it relatively simple, and then you upload and have that link to put on your flyers.
The current communication that we have for the building committee is on the Council on Aging town website, right? I go to the Council on Aging, then I find a drop down that says,
well, so it can circle through. So if you go to the town's website, you can go to boards and committees and you can find us.
okay,
Or you can go to the senior center, and at the senior center, I have a page on mine that is just a very short summary of progress to date, but I also have a button to link back to this building committee's page so that you can kind of go circularly.
And I think, the elephant in the room for me, and I'm not on it, but my wife occasionally is lurking on it, is Facebook. That is, what is the mechanism for counteracting the misinformation or the negativity that will arise through Facebook?
So, as you'll notice, like there's been one post, the one that Ellen was referencing before. I went on as the Council on Aging and tried to provide factual answers. I'm not going to argue anyone's opinion because everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not going to argue that with somebody. But if someone asks a factual question, I will provide factual answers. And I don't have a handout, but I can show this to everybody. So September is National Senior Center Month. So I've already started working. It is actually. I've started working on what will be our social media campaign to educate people about what senior centers are, what they do. And then I think it would be a natural segue from that to give out additional town verified official facts about the senior center. So that is something I'm working on as well. But I think as any committee members that are on Facebook, without getting a quorum of members in any one discussion, if there is information, and again, I don't think you want to get into the business of like bickering with people over their opinions, but I think it is okay for other people to, as citizens, to comment on social media.
I think, with the stormwater, I think we got the public outreach out there. Once the outreach we started doing, there were people for and against it, kind of both fought, it's the amount of them on there. We didn't have anybody back on the community page or something.
Right. Okay.
That was on Facebook.
Yeah, this is Facebook. Yeah, I was aware of it too.
Yeah.
I don't have an account, but my junior engineer does. Yes. Just let me know if something's popping up.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
So if we're leaning towards doing another website, again, our time is really, we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
And if we're trying to do something for mid-September, that's coming up, or early September, that's coming up quick, so I guess.
Right.
We'll have to discuss that.
Okay.
The next thing was yard signs. So I did, Ellen provided some links for yard signs. The initial cost I got was $10. $10 is actually, there's a big difference in the quality of signs you get. So I know the $10 quality, which is fine, but some of these other signs, qualities are fine, and the cost I got down to $5.84 or $5.05, depending on how many you order. The cost depends on how many colors. You can have 1 or 2 colors, 2 or 3, so that really affects the cost. So there are some estimates here for 200 signs, 300 signs. The cost includes the shipping, the metal stand, and I added like a recommended finish, not the top grade, but just so they'll last from the sun, the weather, and they're really easy to design from this one site. These aren't suggested messages or designs. I was just throwing them in there to get a price.
And how big are they?
They're 18 by 24. So what I found out on this site, if you go to a smaller size, it doesn't have the thing to put the metal stand in. You have to get, I don't know how you would display them. I'm sure this, I only went on a few sites, but this was for the 18 by 24.
So So then, and that'll be something for the yard signs we'll have to take to the Friends, because those will be advocacy in nature, so. We have a member of the Friends here in the public today, so maybe they can add. Assistance with PR efforts onto the agenda for next week, that would be great.
But I still think we need, they would need more funds for this.
Right,
So
Yeah.
all the things that we really can't put out, I'm not sure that what they have for a budget right now is gonna cover this. So we have to decide which is more important. You know, the handout or the yard sign.
Yeah, and we can decide that after they figure out exactly how much.
Yeah.
You know, funding they have, how much they're willing to give us.
well, they wouldn't be giving,
Give it to us.
How much are they willing
would
to
have-
spend?
right, yeah, okay. All right, go ahead.
Public sessions, the dates have been already set up. Monday, 9:15, town hall. Saturday, and it's a good, the time slots are good because it allows time and people can't attend at night or morning day. So Monday night is 7 PM town hall. That is in person only, I believe we decided, right? No Zoom, okay. Saturday, 9:20, 10 AM is the senior center. That was targeted when there's a lot of traffic on the property from the fields. 10, Wednesday, 10/1, 3 PM, the library.
I wanna recommend, I spoke to the person who does all of the events at the library, the adult events, to ask her what's the best time, because that whole time.
Yeah.
And I had tentatively booked it for 3.
Mhm.
But I said, we'd like to be able to get some older citizens, but also possibly some parents.
Mhm.
And she said their best time that they do for their events is 10 AM. She said because parents aren't even gonna come at 1 o'clock because they gotta get their kids. So she said she thinks that we should do it at 10.
At 10?
So on that day, would that time work on Wednesday, 10, on the day we
Yeah.
think? So 10 AM, so you're suggesting
Yeah,
change it to 10
instead
AM?
of 3, we would make
Yeah,
it 10.
so we'll need that for the first mailing.
Yeah,
And then I guess the last date with the high school is still been a problem.
yes.
If
We're
not-
working on that.
Well,
Are we gonna
unless they're
record,
home.
like the town hall one? Just have a video we can post on the
I
web?
think
Yeah,
Well, where do we
Katie's,
get
What?
that?
that'd be
sorry, I
APAC.
missed the
We're gonna
question.
record the.
Oh, I
town
have-
hall.
We will
Oh,
we'll
Yeah.
certainly invite them to all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Yeah, you need
APAC
that.
has
Then
not
we can use that as
responded at
outreach on
all.
the webs.
Do you work with APAC? Because they
A
have
little
not
bit.
responded to me. So maybe you could,
I might be able to help.
yes, good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you can't
I don't
say
work
words.
that much. I know one guy that
And-
I can.
and I can-
You're not
See
me.
what something.
once we have our high school date settled, I'm happy to reach out to them as well, so.
Well, we have 2 people that are members of the public that are on the board of APAC. That's who we should be talking, right? Not just people in the office. Like Julie Murray's is
Right.
on the board, so I think Jennifer Woodacre is on the
Mhm.
Yeah, we
board.
talked to them.
I don't
and then-
know.
Well,
Oh,
I
you
know,
don't know?
I know Barry. and I
They're on the
know-
board, but you need the guy who actually runs
Maybe
the
that
stuff.
would help you have somebody
Okay,
else.
Guy who does it,
So
yeah.
we'll
Maybe-
do that, so
maybe
let's,
we'll get some-
let's stay on
So
top, 'cause
actually-
we're getting late
so the
here.
high school date's important because for us to print this, we really need that in 1 to 2,
Right,
minutes.
and that's in process.
Okay.
Hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay, and then I missed one up here for, projects. Katie and Ellen are meeting with, someone to do a video for us. And that was $30 an hour, and they came up with, thought they could do that in 10 hours, so that cost, $300, really reasonable for what we're gonna get out of that. And that might be one of our big, cause it's so easy to put that out there and people can really see this building, and so I think
Yeah.
that's a great investment if we can get that done earlier and we can start posting that as soon as possible.
Great.
And then counter displays, really just simple printing. Group meetings, we didn't discuss this last time, the churches and neighborhood gatherings. I can go back to, if you wanted to do something after the, do handouts after church, I can just set those dates up. And then again, this would be maybe all on Dan, I'm not sure if it's allowed, the transfer station handouts on weekends.
Yes.
Might be a great,
Can do that, yeah.
again, it doesn't have to be, it could be the 4-pager. It could be something simple. Early on, I would hand out, we have these done in time. So another way to get the dates in front of everybody.
And Dan, can we just talk to Andrew on the day of, or how much notice do you guys need to? I mean,
I wouldn't do it the day of, but just let me know at least the day before.
Okay,
It's usually fine, as long as no one else were to be doing anything, which usually is the case.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it should be fine. Yeah.
Great.
So that's pretty much the update. We're kind of all know what we're kind of doing, and you know, it's time sensitive. It's really, that's where we're at. It's time sensitive, and April 19th is gonna be, once we know where we stand, that's gonna be kind of the green light. And then
I made her do it.
Yeah,
August.
you made it.
19th. Yeah, you said April. Like I planted April, August.
That was pretty good.
I wrote April on here after you
Oh,
said it.
yeah.
I knew it was August.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Okay, so we have some members of the public here this evening. So now we are here to thank you for sticking with us. Any public input? Barbara?
Yes, I do. The first thing is the selectmen, that the select board said that they did want a bigger building. I mean, a smaller building and the price. Okay, so the price that I wrote down was 16,904. Now it's dropped to 15.47. That's what I'm looking at for the price of the building. And then my other thing is the walk around the building should be hot top. Not
I'm sorry.
hot top, not right.
Asphalt for the walk.
And you've got people with walkers, wheelchairs. Every handicapped people should be able to walk around the building.
Yeah, okay.
So it should not be. Ken, is that right or wrong?
I think we'll figure it out in the design. We're gonna
Okay,
take
but I
all.
mean, it's not.
It has to be ADA compliant
Yeah.
regardless of what we put.
I think the clarification there is, if you look at what is the front sidewalk and the approach from the parking lot and all that stuff, that is pavement. What is right behind the building is concrete or pavement or whatever. But what's going down the short sides of the rectangle of the building, I think is what he was talking about. I don't think
It's not, so the walkway is not going around the building anymore?
So, I mean, in order to bring the cost down, if it's too expensive, we have to cut things. And that was first we took off the covered walking roof and made it not covered and took it from 8 feet to 5 feet. The architect is proposing, there you go, just these sidewalks right here, to bring it down further would be to not have the sidewalk go all the way around.
And then what was the suggestion they made earlier? What was the finish?
Crushed gravel.
Right.
It's-
Right, is that the same, and Dan, is that the same as chip seal?
No.
No, it's a different material.
It's almost like graded base.
Dense graded.
Dave was right.
so it's like, I
It
know.
needs to be an ADA compliant
Like
surface, so whatever he uses, yeah, yeah.
It's gonna have to support a wheelchair or
Right.
whatever without leaving a dent.
Right,
Right, so,
You wouldn't do anything.
that's what
Yeah.
I was concerned about.
but I guess in the end,
But
we hear that.
does that have to be ADA
Yeah.
compliant
Every-
if this is
everything-
ADA
everything-
compliant?
Anytime you
Everything,
walk
okay,
by, yeah.
okay.
Anything anybody could get.
You gotta get in the
So
back.
Barbara, the architect mentioned that it would be pretty straightforward to change that, you know, at a later date after the building is constructed to, you know, turn it into concrete or asphalt. But again, I mean, I think we
When
can
was
ask,
that drop?
Well, it's-
what's that?
When was that dropped off the plan,
Well, that's,
that walk around the building?
Well, his suggestion was to do that now in an effort to save money because I guess pouring that kind of concrete is an expensive endeavor to get it all the way around the
We haven't
building.
done that. We did not take it out.
that's not Barbara's
Yeah, it's
question.
an Alton.
The whole
No.
walking
Oh.
roof
Right.
with the 8-foot side was dropped in,
It's gone.
right, was
That.
dropped in February.
I was here for
after-
that.
Right, yeah. So that was the first drop to that
Right.
feature. And now one of the things he's proposing to get us into that green column of 13,000 square feet and getting the cost down to that amount would be to go to the crushed gravel,
So-
crushed stone,
So
whatever.
Barbara, are you saying that in your view, the additional cost for the walk around,
Mhm.
that would be something that you think is worth it?
Right, I think it's worth it.
Okay,
I really do. I think for people that, that don't use the exercise equipment in the fitting room, I think it's worth it.
okay.
Okay.
No, it's good
Personal
input.
opinion.
Yeah.
And then my other thing is, how much has been spent so far?
377,000.
377,000?
And none of it has been local taxpayer dollars. It's all been grant money.
377. And has that been in the last 2 years?
Roughly.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, there was a feasibility study done back in 2018 that's not included in that, but yeah.
Right.
Okay, I think that was it. It was just that they wanted a bigger building, a smaller building and less money.
Mhm. Yep.
To select
Yep,
And
we
they
heard
were-
them loud and clear.
at that selectmen meeting I watched.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other public input?
Well, I feel a bit like a traitor, but I do go to a wonderful exercise class at the Groton Center. They're at 14,000 feet, if I'm not correct.
11.
There,
Broadband's 11,000,
Oh, it is.
yeah,
yes,
Oh, okay.
because they had to fit the same, footprint of the
Yeah.
whole building,
Okay.
and they're 1 story.
Okay.
This ours is a 2 story building, so
Yeah.
they are 11,000. And we were told by the director that right now every room is full and they don't even have room for, meetings.
I have a class that I go to that is very popular. There's 24 of us women, sometimes 20, and we're punched. And they're very enthusiastic about us and they hope us the very best. They want us to, we're looking to deserve. I know that you're having a hard fight trying to get these feet, but I think that we owe it to ourselves to, if we're gonna do this thing, let's do it right. And one of the things I just was looking at the picture, on the postcard, if there's any way you could change that parking picture to look the way it is, cause this looks like it's very expansive. I can't back my van around. So
yeah, I can certainly try and,
I think we can
Retake
do
that
something
shot.
with the way the camera is set up
Mhm.
to show how dense packed it is out there.
And to Pat's point, I had a conversation with the Groton scene. The other thing there is on their busier days, the parking lot is not enough. I mean, they're parking up on the grass.
Yeah.
It's just not even close to what they need in terms of parking there now.
But I
We
do
have a
appreciate
problem
everything.
competing with other
folks are doing.
towns. People in town don't like us when we compare to
You're
South.
working hard.
That's a problem, even though it's right. You know,
That they have a music room.
Music room?
Yeah.
so, I think, so Kim Karen, do you want to talk a little bit about what a music room would look like and what that would mean to you? Like, when you say music room, what kind of things do you mean?
Well, when you have a music room, comfortable chairs,
Mm-hmm,
so you can sit,
mm-hmm,
loudspeakers,
mm-hmm,
so you can hear the music.
mm-hmm.
And if possible, a room that is just, you're just hearing the music and not everybody else talking and yelling and screaming or what have you. Maybe,
or ice cream.
with, the walls.
With like sound panels, yeah. So I think what Kim Karen is mentioning is like, that's not something we've talked about at all to date. And it just goes to show you that when we have a building and when we have spaces, people will come out with their interests and want to be able to have their interests accommodated. So that's part of the reason you need a second floor that's got a room that might be a little smaller than the other rooms so that you are able to make this one do a little bit more of that and this one do a little bit more of that and accommodate a really wide variety of people's interests, because we do a lot of things down here, but it's silly to assume that we are accommodating everybody's interests and everybody's needs here. When we get to the new building, you're gonna see that all blossom, and you need square footage in which to do that, because sitting and listening to music is not something you set up, you do for 20 minutes and you leave. It's something that people will want to sit in there for a couple of hours and really enjoy the music. So you need multi-purpose spaces in order to get that kind of thing done. Thank you, Karen.
I have one more
Yep.
thing to add. Since the beginning, I have said one floor. We need to save money. We need to save the building. Take off the second floor, John.
So
Personal opinion.
yeah. Um,
Take the second floor off.
Yeah.
But
But,
the
so-
one floor at the same alarm.
yeah,
But if we take the second floor off, where are you gonna have the extra room?
right.
You're not.
You
Agreed.
talk about a game room, correct? There's,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be a game room,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be exercise room,
Mhm.
couple of exercises, classes.
Yeah.
I mean, if we say one building, one floor, we're getting rid of all those extras that we want to have.
Mhm.
I mean, here we only have one exercise class. And I think if we had the new building, the extra rooms, we could have more than one class of exercises.
Mhm. Thank you. All right, any other public input?
I'm just glad that you were able to find to cut some of it down. Because I thought it was really, really big, and I was just thinking, being a senior here of my taxes, living in my home, not living in the senior center, you know, I was concerned about that. So I'm glad you were able to cut. I'm happy about that. I am good.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen, did you want to say something?
You're a member of the public at this meeting. Do you have any input?
I think we go for a solid good building that's going to do everything we want it to.
Awesome.
We're gonna do that.
How do you relate to the design that we have?
I think it needs to have the two floors. I think it needs to have space. If we meet at one floor, you'd be like, you'd be cutting off some of the things. Or you'd be like, go into the mall, you're walking right quickly, go to the next store. I don't want to do that. I can just go up, say. We discussed that first.
All right, so our next meeting is scheduled for the 21st of August, in 2 weeks. That would be 2 days after the select board meeting. Is everyone okay with that? With the idea that the presentation, I'm happy to draft the presentation, send it to the committee. But it would be more of a chronology of here's where we started, here's 2 rounds of edits and where we're ending. And then sharing the public input plan with them so that they know, and then a specific ask for their endorsement to move forward towards town meeting.
So I'm unfortunately the time is not great, so I'm not gonna be available late next week until after Labor Day. So anything that I need to do on my end, I really need to know kind of this week,
Okay.
early next week, so I can push out whatever you need me to do.
Okay.
And then when I come back, I'll be ready to jump back in, so my time's there. I have no time actually, but.
All right,
And did we lose Ryan?
yeah, we did.
I was gonna thank you.
And it just occurs to me that for the August 19th, that's the select board meeting,
Mhm.
that having the public there would be, that is, we, the committee members, have tended to attend those meetings and then advocate for the body language tells me they're not interested in hearing what we have to say anymore. They know what we have to say. You know, they know the position that we are in terms of wanting, project to move forward. I think it's important that they hear from members of the public who are not on the committee about why they, as your elected representatives, should endorse this project, should approve the conclusions that we've come to, and that should support it at the floor and town meeting. I think the select board would benefit from hearing from non-board members, non-committee members about why it's important for the community, so.
I agree.
That's the word.
I agree on
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Maybe that's something we could work on with friends to try to send something out to. try to get
Yeah,
people-
and again, it doesn't have, just stop in, say your piece during public input or however it's lined up, that.
Sorry, we don't have time, we have to move on.
Well, I was gonna say, if 20 people show up, they're not gonna let 20 people talk, so.
Well,
Well,
if they're sitting there, they'll feel it.
Well,
One of the problems is that they have that, just like we do, they have public input at the beginning, and anybody can talk about anything in town under that public input.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating mistake that they have, to have that on there, it's on the agenda.
Did we mention that we have to go to finance and capital planning? Do you know when those are, the dates?
So first, we would need the select board's endorsement, I think, to, I see Dan contemplating, like, first we would need,
You're right.
we would need them to say, yep, you've done, like, we're gonna be in support of when time comes to putting this on the warrant. And then that allows us to go ahead and get on the September meetings then with capital planning and finance. To get all of that worked out. I mean, luckily, because we've been at this for such a long time, we have met with those committees before. So, it won't be the first time.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about that till September.
Mhm.
September.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
September's gonna be a busy month.
September and October are both going to be very, very busy. Do I?
We need to schedule another public health.
Yes. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Adjourned at 6:26 PM. Thank you, everyone.